Okay, good afternoon everybody. I'm here again, okay, for the third lecture vlog for biochemistry. So we started our midterms with bioenergetic, followed by introduction to carbohydrates, and I am supposed to proceed with glycolysis, but I guess we need to, I guess I need to review or to wrap up about metabolism. Although we have discussed this already in the first video, no? Again, so metabolism, maybe you're wondering, ba't kasi din may ganun? Kasi, ang tagal mag-edit, yung ilalagay ko pa doon sa taas, no? Tapos, mali yung spelling. Okay, so this is metabolism, okay? So, I was able to write pabaliktad. I had that talent because of this vlog. Kasi walang flip yung aking editor. So anyway, so we will be discussing your metabolism, and also take note that there are actually two types. You have your catabolism. Ay, baliktad. Your catabolism, okay? And catabolism is actually the production of your energy. Okay, it will produce the carrier of your energy, which is your ATP. Now, remember, this is a previous nating lecture. It has 4 stages. Okay. Now, I will present the stages into 3 kasi pinagsama na po yung 3rd and 4th stage. Okay. So, you have the first stage, which is the hydrolysis of complex molecules. Okay. Hydrolysis of complex molecules. So, anong sinasabi natin sa hydrolysis of complex molecules? Assuming that this is your large molecules, when we say hydrolysis, we produce this large molecule into its building block. So, maraming parts yan. Maraming portion yan. Ayoko nang punitin siya. Okay? So, kung pupunit-punitin mo to at ganito kalaki, this is the building block of this paper. Okay? And that would mean your hydrolysis of complex molecules. Now, what is stage 2? Now, stage 2 is the conversion. Oops. Parang hindi naman pala yan. Is the conversion of building blocks to simple intermediates. So, for example, this one, okay, we will have to convert your building block into a more useful one, an intermediate that will enter to the next stage. For example, the acetyl-CoA, di po ba? Or, for example, the ATP itself. Remember that during those stages, for example, in stage 1, you produce pyruvate. Yung sa, for example, yung glycolysis, di ba? You produce pyruvate and then you produce your ATPs. Now, pyruvate will enter to the acetyl-CoA and it will be used by the acetyl-CoA. So, ganun siya. So, for example, this building block will be turned into another intermediates that has to enter to another stage. And lastly, the stage of the stages is stage 3, the oxidation of the acetyl coenzyme A. Okay? Yung oxidation of coenzyme A, it also mentions the production of oxidative phosphorylation, the production of 32 ATPs. Now, we're going to discuss your anabolism. Okay? Kung ang catabolism, it will require it will produce your ATP. Your anabolism will require energy. So, ito yung endergonic. Siya yung siya yung gagamit ng ATP. Okay? Catabolism, you will produce an ATP. Anabolism, this one will require energy. And how does your energy being provided? By the hydrolysis of your adenosine triphosphate. So, we hydrolyze your ATP. Okay? So, to start with, ito, I have no choice but to write it there. Okay? Okay? To start with, there are some regulatory mechanisms. Okay? Take note that your metabolism has to be regulated. Otherwise, everything will be a waste. Okay? So, pag halimbawa, naubos yung energy mo, yung anabolism, hindi mo na siya napigilan, manghihina ka na. Okay? So, at yung catabolism mo, masyado namang hyper, produce ka ng produce ng ATP. Okay lang yun kung puproduce ka ng puproduce ng ATP. But, what if you produce your ATP at the same manner that you use so much of the ATP and you end up having unexhausted cells, okay? Or an exhausted metabolism. So, hindi rin maganda yun. So, your metabolism regulation, actually, it must be coordinated. Okay? Pag sinabi natin coordinated, there should be a coordination of the cell. Okay? To provide the needs of the cell. Okay? So, what are the 4 influencers? Na, so, may influencers. So, these influencers are also, systems, no? Systems that could affect the metabolism of the body. One of which is your intracellular communication, number 1. Number 2 is intercellular communication. Number 3 is your second messenger system. And last but not the least is the adenyl cyclase or the activity of your adenyl cyclase. Now, yung intracellular mechanism, that actually is the start of everything. So, kailangan there is a coordinated communication or an effective communication within the cell. Okay? So, take note that, for example, yung rate of metabolism are actually affected by the number of substrates. And take note that substrates are available, yung reactants mo, available doon po sa cell, sa loob ng cell. So, if your cell won't be able to recognize the number of substrates, or there could be an absence of substrate, then therefore, no reaction can happen. Okay? There is no metabolism at all. Pag naman intercellular communication, the communication or the signal should be transferred from one cell or another. Example. Ito, napakagandang example. Ako, may chismis. Ipinasa ko yung chismis sa kapitbahay ko. Yung kapitbahay ko, ipinasa yung chismis sa kabila. Yung isang kapitbahay na pinagpasahan ng kapitbahay ko, pinasa pa ulit sa isa pang kapitbahay, and so on and so forth. So, ganun yung intercellular. So, actually, for example, ang bawat chumismis ako, uy, may COVID-19 dito sa kapitbahay natin, dito on my right. So, hindi sinasabi ni kapitbahay kasi natatakot siyang pandirihan, but or iwasan, or alam mo na, yung mapulaan. But, hindi niya alam yung effect na hindi niya yung sasabihin sa akin or sa susunod pa. Therefore, pwede yung mag-cause ng transmission of disease, hindi ba? So, kasi ibig sabihin, walang nag-iingat lumalapit pa siya, so that's the importance of intercellular communication. Yun importante, yung chismis brigade. Okay? Mga chismosa brigade. Yun, effective yun. Pero kung chichismis ka para lang siraan yung iba, no? Yung defamation, wag na. So, for example, yun, chinismis ko. So, ibig sabihin, magkakaroon kami ng prevention. Okay? So, ayun yung good effect. So, that is actually what will happen in your cell, yung intercellular communication ninyo. Kung hindi ko sasabihin na may ganito yung si kapitbahay, so hindi ka mag-iingat. So, that's the important. Next is your second messenger system. What does your second messenger system do? Your second messenger system is actually amplifies the communication. So, meron ka talagang primary, which could be your hormones or neurotransmitter. Now, yung neurotransmitter mo at saka yung hormone mo is actually being recognized and will be bound to a certain element. So, magkakaroon siya ng efficient function. Okay? So, yung effect nung certain neurotransmitter na yon could be effective, no? Magagamit mo talaga. Now, what does your second messenger system do? It amplifies the communication. Okay? For example, yung GPCR na tinatawag natin, yung G protein, the R is receptor, coupled, the G protein coupled receptor. So, yun yung pagkakabitan kasi nung inyong neurotransmitter. Of course, there is the help of your second messenger system. So, your G protein coupled receptor is actually a ligand, no? Yung binding domain siya. Now, your GPCR will actually help the activity, no? Yung rate of activity, yung adenyl cyclase. Okay, now, sabi ko nga, apat yan. You have your intracellular, your intercellular, the second messenger system, and lastly, the adenyl cyclase. Okay? By the way, you just have to remember the most common second messenger system. Una is calcium, the other one is phosphatidylinositol, and of course, adenyl cyclase, which is the prima donna of our discussion today. Okay, yung adenyl cyclase. So, what does your adenyl cyclase do? Your adenyl cyclase actually hydrolyzes ATP. It's the one that consumes your ATP actually. So, why does your adenyl cyclase has to hydrolyze your ATP? It is simply because we can produce your, ayan, kunyari susulat ko, your 3', 5' AMP or adenosine monophosphate, or also known as the CAMP. Okay, so ayun nakasulat. Okay, there. So you have your adenyl cyclase that will it's a membrane bound, okay, enzyme that hydrolyzes ATP that will produce your 3', 5' AMP or adenosine monophosphate, or also known as the cyclic AMP. Kaya siya CAMP ha, yung CAMP, C-A-M-P, cyclic adenomonophosphate. So, yung hinhydrolyze mo. Diba? Adenosine triphosphate siya. So, naging monophosphate siya. Tinanggal mo yung dalawang phosphate, kaya naging monophosphate mo lang siya. And it becomes cyclic. Okay? Ayun yung tinatawag natin acyclic and cyclic, no? Pero yun ay sa carbohydrates. Okay? This one is actually messenger. Okay. So, your CAMP actually, CAMP na lang hindi na yung 3', 5' AMP. Kasi it's AKA din naman yun, yung CAMP. Your CAMP actually is a signal transducer. Okay? So, it transfers or it sends the message from one cell to another, the effect of the hormones. Okay? Again, your CAMP sends the effect of the hormones from one cell to another. Okay? Transfer siya. So, intercellular, siya. No? Siya yung chismosa talaga. CAMP ba ako? Para namang hindi. Medyo lang. Okay? So, may mga pumipigil pa sa akin. Now, what are the things that can affect your CAMP? Okay? Or your adenyl cyclase? Okay? The first that could affect your adenyl cyclase is your guanosine triphosphate regulatory protein ba yun? Let's see. Ang galing ko. Okay. The guanosine triphosphate dependent regulatory protein. Okay. Your guanosine triphosphate blah blah blah. Guanosine triphosphate regulatory dependent GTBRP. Sinarap lang, wala namang gano'n sa libro. Haba kasi eh. Okay. So, guanosine triphosphate dependent regulatory protein actually either activates or inhibits it controls the activity of your adenyl cyclase in the production of your CAMP. Okay, so there are two main type of your guanosine triphosphate dependent regulatory protein, GS and GI. Pagka siya ay bound sa GS, active form yung adenyl cyclase mo. So it will produce more of the CAMP. At kapag yun ay bound sa GI, inactive form yon. Okay? So, in that case, your guanosine triphosphate dependent regulatory protein are actually the one that regulates the activity of your adenyl cyclase. Take note ha, kasi syempre, kailangan mo ring i-control yung adenyl cyclase mo. Kasi otherwise, hindi na siya magiging efficient. For example, in myocardial infarction, mas maganda kung activated yung adenyl cyclase mo so that your heart, therefore, will use more of the ATP para makasurvive yung cell. Okay? Sometimes it is, actually, there is one study that in ischemic or myocardial infarction, or in ischemia, bind yung adenyl cyclase mo sa GI, so meron siyang inhibition, hindi siya nagdi-decrease yung activity niya. So ibig sabihin, hindi nakakapag-function, no? Hindi nagagamit mabuti ng heart mo yung energy. Kaya ang tendency mo lang, ayoko na. Di ba? Parang ganun. So every now and then your heart would definitely need your GS, the bind adenyl cyclase to GS, so that it could continuously use up the energy and pumps regularly. Parang pag nagmahal ka, di ba? Pag nagmahal ka, tapos iwanan ka, pagod ka na, di ba? Gusto ko na lang yung GI ang mag-attach kasi ayoko na. Kasi mga ganong drama. Okay? So, ayun po yung importance ng guanosine triphosphate. Now, there are two enzymes that also would regulate such reaction. You have your protein kinase and you have your protein phosphatases. Now, your protein kinase actually will cause phosphorylation of protein. That when a phosphate group is added to protein, it continues its function. Kailangan po kasi phosphorylated yung protein nyo. Okay? Or your enzyme, kung yun man po ay ang pinag-uusapan natin protein and enzyme, it has to be or hormone or neurotransmitter, di ba? It has to be phosphorylated so that it could serve its function. Tuloy-tuloy po yung pagdadala ng signal. Okay? Na, oy, mag-work ka, hindi ka pwedeng tumigil. Okay? So, protein kinase yun. And when the cell actually recognizes that, uy, okay na ako, sobra-sobra na, here comes your protein phosphatases. Your protein phosphatases naman will remove the phosphate. Okay? You will remove the phosphate from the protein na dinikit ni protein kinases. So, kambal actually sila, pero sila yung kambal na magkagalat. Kaya na lang isipin. So, yung protein kontrabida, di ba? Kasi ako matagal na akong nanonood ng teleserye, Mara at Clara lang yan. If you can remember, I don't know if you're hearing if you have heard that teleserye, the Mara and Clara. Okay? So, let your protein kinase be Mara, who always supports other people. Very good siya. So, ine-enhance niya yung kung whatever is good. While Clara is your phosphatase that will inhibit any reaction. So, ano naman ang advantage ni phosphatase, ni Clara? Kasi, it will definitely indicate that the phosphorylation or the activity itself is not permanent. So, that will depend on the need of the cell. So, basta laging it is governed by the negative feedback mechanism naman. And lastly, ano pa ba yung nakakalimutan ni Dean? Lastly, your camp hydrolysis. This is the last part of our lecture, the camp hydrolysis. Sabi dito, your 3', 5' amp, okay, the cyclic amp, is hydrolyzed to 5' AMP. So, pagka meron kang 5' AMP, edi ibig sabihin, wala nang signal na masisend sa bawat cells mo. Kasi di ba yun yung function naman ng camp mo, mag-send ng signal of the hormones or of any neurotransmitter. Pag wala na po yun, hindi na po siya gagana. Pag na-hydrolyze na siya. So, what hydrolyzes your camp is your phosphodiesterase. Hindi ba kumagtawali? Kasi enzyme siya, so i-cleave off niya yung bonds, yung phosphodiester bonds, so phosphodiesterase, no, yung enzyme. So, pagka na-transfer niya na yon, tapos na. Titigil na siya. So, saan ba, ano ba yung magandang example nito? For example, sa sunog, di ba yung natatandaan mo yung sa sunog? Neurotransmitter yan, di ba? So, pag sa sunog, nabubuhat mo yung yung ref, kahit kabigat-bigat. Because all of these things are happening. You have your GPCR, you have your intracellular, blah, blah, blah. You have your adenyl cyclase, which uses your energy. Ang bilis ng katawan mo, ang bilis din ng brains mo, di ba? Ay, nagandang gagawin mo. Na pag natapos yung sunog, tapos na eh. So, ibig sabihin mag-hydrolyze na yung phosphodiesterase mo, hydrolyze na yung 3,5, yung camp mo. Magiging 5' sasabihin niya, oh, tama na. The next time you would try to bring your ref, hindi mo na kaya. Hindi tumigil na yung, yung signal, yung signaling, ang tawag dito, yung signal na binibigay ng neurotransmitter na yon. Okay? So, for example, kaya hindi ka makasagot sa exam kasi na-hydrolyze na yung camp mo. So, what are you going to do? Sabi nila, meron akong props. Ito, I have coffee. Actually, kanina, ang lamig na ng coffee ko. So, wow, hindi po ako model na Nescafe. But I have to drink this first. Nabutas yung mata ko gawa nito, no? Lamig na siya. So, what do you do? Well, minsan, di ba, pagka nag-aaral ka, parang ngayon na mag-absorb ng brain mo, tumigil na yun, nag-hydrolyze na yung camp mo. Hindi na magamit yung ATP mo. Or either, wala ka ng ATP or hindi na magamit yung ATP mo. Why? Because the phosphodiesterase have acted upon your camp. Na-hydrolyze siya sa 5'. So, wala nang mag-i-induce sa brain mo na, hoy, aralin mo yan, kailangan mong matandaan yan. Ganun. So, ganun lang siya, ha? Ganun lang siya kasimple. Any question that you would like to ask, any clarification that you would like to ask, please tell it so that I can clarify things. I hope your guanosine triphosphate dependent and regulatory protein is clear to you. There are two types actually, the GS and the GI. GS, when adenyl cyclase is bound to GS, then it is in an active form, can produce more CAM. And if it is attached or bound to GI, then therefore the production of your CAMP or the activity of your adenyl cyclase is inhibited. Okay, now your protein kinase and protein phosphatases. Okay, again, protein kinases and protein phosphatases. Your kinases makes your protein phosphorylated. It attaches one phosphate to the protein, and your protein phosphatases removes the phosphate from the protein, making it dephosphorylated so that there will be no transmission of signal. Ibig sabihin, that's the end of the activity. Hindi na kailangan masyado. So, and then you have your CAMP hydrolysis by the presence of CAMP phosphodiesterase. This is an enzyme that hydrolyzes your CAMP to 5' amp, so that it will tell to your body or it will tell to your cells that it has to stop. You don't need it anymore. Otherwise, kapag nag-produce ka pa ng produce, masasayang lang. So, it's not needed. So, I have stated some examples for your clarification. So, for the clarity of our discussion. Anyways, if you still have more questions to ask, if you want to clarify more things, you can actually ask me through Google Classroom stream. I am very much waiting for your questions there. And also, I would like to say thank you for those who responded to the last question, who has posted their answers to the stream. Congratulations. Of course, meron tayong early bird, no? So, I have Aaron, May, and the other one is Micah from the other group. So congratulations, you get a few points, actually, not just a point, but few points, a couple of points maybe. And thank you for watching through. Oh, you have no choice but to watch this video naman eh. No, you have no choice. So, after this, sorry for the dog, di ba, ganang-gana yung kanyang protein kinases. Tahol siya ng tahol doon. Anyways, nakatikim din yung caffeine. Again, caffeine is actually inhibitory to phosphodiesterase and CAMP phosphodiesterase. Thereby, causing the camp not to be hydrolyzed. And when there is caffeine, yun na siya. Actually, present din siya sa Coca-Cola. No? Ay, hindi pala. Sa mga cola. Ayan. Kasabi ng Pepsi eh. Okay? So, ayun lamang naman po. So, that's the biochemical effect or biochemical explanation of the effect of your coffee. Okay? So, yun lamang naman. Any questions, any clarifications, any corrections are also welcome. If there are people watching this and they are biochemists, taas po kamay sa inyo. If there are some misinformation, please clarify it. I would be glad to do so. Thank you very much and have a nice day. Oh, by the way, wait for the next video that will be uploaded perhaps this weekend. Okay, for the glycolysis na tayo. Okay, so have a nice day and thank you.